Somewhere I Belong, Chapter 3, Job Hunting, Part 1. Isaac had woken up later than usual. He put his shirt back on and looked outside to see that the sun was shining brightly. He made his way downstairs to see Twilight at the front desk stamping books. "Morning," he said as he yawned. "Good morning. Sleep well?" she asked in a cheery tone. "Yeah," he said as he got to the ground floor. "How are you feeling?" Since the fight." "Fine. Why?" "I'm just surprised how you just walk away from that," she said in amazement. "I've had closer calls," he said as he made his way into the kitchen. "Hey, you wouldn't happen to know anyone who's hiring, would you?" Isaac asked as he walked into the kitchen. "Why?" "Well, since I gave all my bits to the owners of the bakery, I need a source of income," he said as he sat down, with an apple in his hand. Oh, you could probably help AJ on the farm. She's the orange one, right?" Twilight nodded. "Yeah, well, she doesn't exactly like me." "Why?" He shrugged at the question. "Well, just tell her I sent you. She'll understand." "Fine. Where's the farm?" he said as he walked towards the door with a groan in his voice. "Just keep going up the road. You can't miss it," she said as he left the library. Isaac plugged in his pea pod and walked by the bakery. He poked his head in to see the cakes. "Hey," he said. "Oh, it's you," the mayor said in surprise. "Yeah, sorry about last night. Were the bits I gave you enough to cover the damage?" "Oh, yes, thank you," the woman said with a smile. She tossed him the bit bag. "There's your change." "No, you keep it. We don't feel right taking money that you don't owe us," the mustard yellow stallion said. "Well, okay, if it's not enough, then just tell me," he said as he put the bag in his pocket. "Of course. What's your name?" "Isaac. Glad to meet you two," he said as he shook their hands. Isaac soon left the shop and continued on his way towards the farm. As he approached the settlement, his eyes fell upon hundreds of rows filled with apple trees. The morning sun was just peeking over the mountain in the distance, making the light reflect on the red, delicious fruit. He continued down the path until he felt something hard hit the back of his head. Isaac instantly hit the ground and cried out in pain. "What the hell was that for?" He looked up to see a frowning red stallion with blue overalls on, glaring down at him. "Who and what the heck are you?" he said as he cracked his knuckles. "What you doing over here, Mac?" a familiar voice said. "Oh, it's you," she said in a less than pleased tone. "Nice to see you too, AJ, he said in a sarcastic tone. Isaac looked up to see the orange-colored mare sporting cowboy boots, short denim shorts, a light orange flannel top, and a brown Stetson hat. He got to his feet. He noticed that the red stallion spoke in the same accent as the orange mare. "You know him, sis?" "Yeah, he's the guy that clobbered those 3 Pegasi last night." The red stallion looked back at Isaac in confusion. "I don't know why he's here, though." "Twilight sent me over to give you a hand," he said as he brushed the dirt off his pants. "Oh, I see," she said as she bit her lip. "Look, I know you're not too fond of me, so let's try to keep things civilized for the time being," he said as he looked at the two. "Fine, follow me," she said as she turned around and started walking down the path. She stopped in front of a row of apple trees. "So what are we doing, AJ?" She instantly grabbed him and forced him against the tree. He stared back into her rage-filled emerald green eyes. "Listen here. Only my family and friends can call me AJ. Since you ain't neither, I suggest you don't call me that." "Fine, let me rephrase that. What are we doing here, Applejack?" She released her grip and took a step backwards. "We're apple picking." "Easy enough," he said as he started to climb the tree and pick the apples off the branches. "I think you got the hang of it. When you're done the row, come see me for the next job." "Roger," he said as he climbed the next tree. Applejack left him to it and walked down the road. Isaac continued with his task. As noon slowly crept around, he finished off the last tree. He started to walk up the road when he saw the red stallion walking up to him. Isaac got into a defensive position as the red stallion raised his right hand. "I don't want any trouble, just here to apologize for earlier. I thought you were an apple thief." "It's fine," he said as he relaxed his stance. "What's your name?" "Macintosh. Some call me Big Mac." "Nice to meet you, Mac." "My name is Isaac," he said as he shook the stallion's hand. "Lunch is being served at the farmhouse." Isaac nodded and walked down the dirt road until he reached the farmhouse. He made his way inside to see an elderly green mare in the kitchen. Applejack came downstairs and looked at him. "You finished with the trees?" "Yeah," he said in a less than enthusiastic tone. "Good," she said as she walked in front of him. He took a few steps inside until he was stopped by an orange hand on his chest. "Where do you think you're going?" I was going to get some lunch, he said as he narrowed his eyes. Not in here, you're not. Okay, now you're just being unreasonable, he said in a stern tone. Applejack took his hand and pulled him outside. Look, it's not that I want to, it's just that... It's just what? You see that old woman in there? She said as she pointed into the kitchen. Isaac gave her a nod. That's Granny Smith. She's getting along in her years, and the last thing she needs is to be scared by some human. How am I scary? You clobbered 3 stallions last night, she exclaimed. Ugh, still with this? It was self-defense. They hit me, I hit them back, he said as he rolled his eyes. I still don't see why. Who are you talking to, honey bun? The elder green woman said as she looked at the two. Applejack's eyes shrank at the mare. Who's this then? She said as she looked at the stranger. Hello, ma'am. My name's Isaac. I was helping Applejack and Macintosh in the field today, he said with a weak smile. The green mare looked at Applejack with a raised eyebrow. Why didn't you tell me we had company? She yelled at the cowgirl. Well, it was really last minute, he interjected. Sorry for not telling you earlier. Oh, don't you fret there, boy. Come on inside and get yourself some food. Y'all can call me Granny Smith, she said as she walked back inside. Applejack looked back at him in shock. Looks like your grandma doesn't scare so easily, he said with a smirk. Before she could retaliate, he quickly stepped inside and sat down at the table. Applejack sat next to Mac and glared at the human. So, Sonny, I've never seen any pony like you before. That's because I'm from out of town. Really? Yeah, Twilight's an old friend of mine, and she's letting me crash at the library while I'm staying here, he said in a calm tone. Oh, well, where did you grow up? New Jersey. I think he means New Jersey, right? Applejack said quickly. Oh, well, that's interesting, Granny Smith said. Isaac was trying to muffle his chuckles. Yeah, it has its perks, he said with a smile. You ever been to Detroit? She asked. Isaac bit his lip to muffle the laughter. Nope, never been there. The group continued to eat in silence until it was time to work again. Applejack led him out to the barn. He began to laugh hysterically. What's so dang amusing? New Jersey? Detroit? You guys have to be kidding me, he said as he tried to calm himself down. Big deal, they're cities. Oh, you're serious? He said as he calmed himself down. Whatever, come on, we gotta bale some hay, she said as she walked over to the massive pile of hay. Applejack looked over to see the human's sheathed knife. Why in the hay do you have something like that? Like I said, I have to deal with pests where I live, he said as she cut open the bag. After she gave him back his knife, the two began to pile the hay. Isaac looked over to her and noticed that her denim shorts clung to her well-toned body. Just what are you staring at? She said as she narrowed her eyes. I was wondering how you ponies deal with having tails, he said as he pointed to the blonde extension. Oh, I guess you just get used to it, she said as she shrugged. Does it do anything? What are you talking about? Like, does it serve a purpose, or is it just there because it's part of your physique? It has some uses, she said as she moved closer to him. Like what? The mare's tail quickly wrapped itself around his leg and pulled it out from under him. Isaac fell onto his back with a loud thud. Like that, she smiled as she helped him to his feet. Isaac brushed the dirt off of him and continued working. Listen, I want to apologize for my behavior earlier, she said as she rubbed her arm. It's fine. Tell you the truth, I'm still wrapping my head around the whole ponies being the dominant species thing, he said as he kept his work ethic. I suppose that's fair. It's only your second day, and I'm surprised that you've adjusted to us so well, she said as she returned to shoveling the hay. It helps that you guys look so human. Apart from the fur and the tail, you seem pretty normal by my standards. Plus, I'm used to being the outcast, he said as he continued to bale the hay. What do you mean you're used to it? If you must know, I'm not the most popular guy around back in my world. In a way, I've always been on my own. Applejack fell silent and searched her mind, trying to change the subject. Why did those 2 stallions pick a fight with you yesterday? 'Cause I beat them up, he said in a stagnant tone. Why? They were picking on Ditzy, so I defended her. Why would they go and pick on Ditzy? I mean, she can be a bit goofy sometimes, but she would never hurt any pony's feelings, she said with a raised eyebrow. They were making fun of her eyes, he said as he wiped the sweat from his brow. Well, that's mighty sweet of you for helping her out. I just can't stand guys like that. They really get under my skin. You've dealt with guys like that? All my life. Sorry to hear that, Sugar Cube. Sugar Cube? Thanks, Jackie, he teased. Why you? She pushed him up against the wall again. Isaac looked into the mayor's eyes, which were burning a hole through his own. There was also a hint of redness under her cheeks. Is she blushing? She slammed him again to snap him out of his dazed state.